The very first race of the 2022 season has finally arrived, and man was it a fun start. Today in this video I'm going to discuss 6 key things we learned from the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix, and I'm sure that some of them surprised a lot of you. Number 1. McLaren don't look very competitive, do they? After their pre-season running, we all thought that McLaren would be in a decent place this year, but I don't think anyone thought that they would struggle as much as they did in qualifying yesterday, and especially in today's race. By lap 8, Daniel Ricciardo had fallen from P18 to P20, and Lando Norris had fallen from P13 to P18. They did manage to make some places before the end of the race as they came 14th and 15th, but for McLaren standards, that isn't very good at all, is it? They did really well in 2020 and in 2021, but it looks like they have taken a very big step backwards with the regulation change. I really do hope that the rest of the season is a lot better for them, or it could be a very, very long 2022 for the Woking-based team. Number 2. Charles Leclerc is at the top of his game. After a fantastic start, he managed to stay ahead of the current world champion Max Verstappen, and by lap 9 he was already 2.4 seconds clear of the Red Bull driver. Even when Max managed to get close to him and overtake him a few times, he held on very well and passed Max again in the next DRS zone without making any contact. I think Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz will definitely be World Championship contenders this year, and I did say that Ferrari would be good in my last video, but can Carlos Sainz keep up with his teammate? That leads me on to number 3. Carlos Sainz definitely drove a great race and managed to overtake Max a few times after the safety car restart. However, before the safety car, he didn't seem to be able to keep up with his teammate. On lap 11 he was 7 seconds behind, and by lap 25 he was just over 10 seconds behind. He did do really well though, but he didn't seem to be happy with his performance, as in this sport the first person you want to beat is your teammate. We will just have to see how well he does for the rest of the year. Number 4. In this race we saw some encouraging early signs that the new regulations are doing what we all hoped they would. Drivers seem to have a much easier time following the car ahead. We saw a lot of battles throughout the field, and drivers seem to struggle a lot less with dirty air than they did last year. Although most of the overtakes still happened on the straights by using DRS, as we thought, there were a lot more close following battles throughout the whole of the circuit, not just on the main 3 DRS zones, including when Daniel Ricciardo passed Nicholas Latifi without DRS on lap 29. Number 5. Mercedes might have a couple more problems than we thought. Coming into this weekend, we all knew that Mercedes would be off the pace, especially in the race. But did we think that it would be as bad as it was, especially in the first half of the race? I mean, after Lewis made his first stop and put on the hard C1 compound tyre, he was struggling so badly for grip out on the track. Or could that just be the new tyres? He seemed to be having a little bit of trouble with getting them warmed up correctly. On lap 24 we even heard Charles Leclerc suggesting maybe to use a 3-stop strategy instead of the 2, especially when the plan was to do a 2-stopper and when everyone thought that 2 stops would be quickest. Mercedes did seem to look stronger in the second half of the race though, with Lewis Hamilton attacking Sergio Perez before obviously Sergio's engine died, and that leads me again quite nicely into number 6. That race was an absolutely terrible start for Red Bull powertrains. With only one of the 4 Red Bull powered cars being able to actually finish the race, Red Bull have a lot of work and investigating to do ahead of the race in Saudi Arabia in a week's time. I did say in my predictions that Red Bull would struggle this year due to the fact that they were so focused on the 2021 season, and for the first time ever they would be using their own power units, and judging from the first race this year, looks like I'm correct. Red Bull will really need to get on top of these problems, as Max and Sergio did absolutely nothing wrong, and they still both didn't even finish the race, and it was even more painful when Sergio spun because of the power loss on the very last lap. Talk about bad timing. After the race, Christian Horner looked so deflated and disappointed, but it's understandable. If I was in his shoes, I'd be quite stressed out as well. And at the moment, it seems that Red Bull have absolutely no idea what caused their 3 DNFs, because Pierre Gasly's engine decided to blow up much earlier in the race too. I think that this could have a really negative effect on Red Bull for the rest of the season. I mean, having 3 engine failures this close together in a very similar way and, in the same race, I don't think that this is just a problem with the assembly of the engine. I think that this could actually point to a fundamental design issue. I mean, for them, this is even worse than finishing last. However, this was only one race out of the whole season, so they've got loads of chances to make this up and, make points later on because it is a marathon and not a sprint. So that's 6 things that we learned from the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix. Before I end this, I would like to politely ask you to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. According to my analytics, 91% of you aren't subscribed, so I would be really grateful if you hit the big red button. Thank you very much, see you next time.